put on a Ike mini flip.
It's a little out of that. Good one on a frog.
Oh my gosh, look how big his mouth is. To be a 4-pounder, if that thing had a gut, that's like a 5 or a 6. What's going on, everybody? I want to thank y'all for tuning in to One Objective tonight. Guys, we got a really good show lined up for you. Really excited to have this guest on. He just joined our pro staff team for One Objective, and I think he's going to be a great fit for the team. And just I've been going through watching videos off and on through the weekend, just trying to get a feel because I've never really had a good conversation with him. Craig's, helped set this up and with getting him on the team. I've always seen his posts and seen his results and how well of a fisherman he is, and also a person, and I love his enthusiasm when it comes to fishing, how excited he gets when he catches a fish. It kind of reminds me of me. Like I just, it's the love for the sport, and how excited you get for it. And I love seeing that. And so we're excited to have him on tonight. But first, I want to thank all our sponsors that has helped support us for the 2023 season and going into the 2024 season. It's been phenomenal working with these companies. I want to thank Missile Baits. I want to thank Waterland, and I want to thank Amped Outdoor. Also a sponsor that helps us out that I notice we don't say a lot about. They do help sponsor certain events, certain builds we do and all that. And that's Bob's Up the Creek Outfitter. So go make sure you check him out if you're in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina area, because he sells to customers from all over. So big kayak dealer, make sure you go check him out. He's got a little bit of everything in there to help suit your needs. And he is well-knowledged on, does that sound right, Chris? Well-knowledged?
Yeah.
Well-knowledged on kayaks. And he knows the right kayak for your setup, and several kayaks keep you in that price point. So make sure you go check them out. Also check out all our sponsors, help support the channel. And you can go to oneobjectivebf.com and we pretty much got everything on our website except for Waterland, which we'll have a link to in the description here, where you can go save yourself 15% on your next order. Also, one thing I want to touch base on before we get into this interview is a discussion. Is a good friend of ours from Smith Mountain Lake, Rick Tilley, is in the battle for his life right now. He's got cancer. It's not looking really good for him. And Rick Tilley has been a big part of the community around Smith Mountain Lake and the BFLs and all that stuff in Virginia. And I know he fished the I want to say it was a Tackle Warehouse series. I think it's what it was, the Open Series MLF. I can't remember if it's Tackle Warehouse. I cannot remember that series now for some reason. But anyways, he fished all that last year, and he just found out a little while ago that he's been diagnosed with cancer. And they're going to be doing a charity event. It hasn't been really posted yet. I've been talking with Chris Brummett. It's looking like it's going to be February 20. Let me pull the calendar up here. Looking like it's going to be February 25th, which is a Sunday. They're going to be doing a tournament for that. So we're going to see what we can do to help out a little bit with getting some goods in to help give away and all that. But just help raise some money for the Tilley family and to help with these doctor bills. And also, if you go on One Objective's Facebook page and my personal page, I have a link to a GoFundMe. They're just trying to raise some money for Rick. So, I mean, any amount will help, whether you donate $1 or what, any amount helps. So if you can do that and help support a good family that's just going through a battle right now, going through a season in their life. And we just hope we can get through that and put everything in God's hands and lots of prayers. And we'll see, see where God needs them. God might need him for something else. So we'll see. But we're hoping that Rick will stay around with us and we can enjoy many more years with fishing against Rick and letting him whip our butts and taking our money on the water. So, but anyways, guys, if you can't go check all that out. But we're going to get Parris Edwards on. We're going to be talking bass fishing. We're going to get to know Parris Edwards. We're going to get to know his background and what's got him into kayak fishing. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the sport and see his take on it and where things are going with, money and this and that. And, just kind of dig into the nitty gritty. So let's go ahead and get Parris on, Chris.
All right.
What's going on, Parris?
Right.
How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Pretty good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with us, especially on a Sunday night. It's time to be with family and and all that. But I really appreciate you taking the time and come on and talking with us. So let's kind of get into the background of you. You know, I mean, we can all talk about fishing, but I want to know what got you into kayak fishing?
Oh man. Initially I started off just wading rivers and bank fishing with my sons, and it initially went up from a buddy of mine, Will Cummins is his name. He had told me about the kayak bass fishing and winnings and just the overall experience of it, man. I was all for it. At the point there were no motors allowed. It was all man powered. I was like, this is something that I'd definitely be interested in. And so I actually went to I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, man, what do I gotta do? Do I have to have a certain kayak, et cetera, et cetera? And he was like, nah, man, any kayak, you just got the necessary tools that you need as far as 360 light and hog trough. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so I actually went and bought a little sun dolphin, man. And from there it just went full throttle from there, man. So
yeah. It's a very fun sport. Like I've bass boat fished for many years. And we had Casey Reed on when we first started our podcast show. Casey was a good friend of ours. We went to school with Casey, and I was like, man, he would be a good guest to get on here. And that's what happened with us. We just get to talking. He's talking about all this tournament stuff and how it works, and we were hooked, man. I was like, this is fun, you know. But let's talk a little bit. So from there, you kind of got into it, and I mean, when did you really, when you first get into this, it's fun. You take it serious, but it's fun. But when did you really start taking it serious?
So my first year, I guess it was a trial run. I went out there and I was fishing with the club that I have to give 100% of the credit to. Just as far as the stature of anglers that's in the club that I fish, which is KBFTN, the anglers have elevated me to a point that I didn't see possible. So when I initially first got into it, fishing, I was just like, I'm gonna give it a trial run, and I was getting spanked. Let's just put it out there. I was getting spanked every single tournament. You got to think, I'm going up against, Russ, the Russ, Derek Bostic, Matt Case, Daniel Moore. The list just goes on. Jonathan Sharp, Josh Stewart, like these guys that fish the same club as me. So it definitely wasn't a walk in the park. So you can only get spanked so much where you're just like, okay, now if I beat this guy, if I place above this guy, I can, feel accomplished. And so the first year, I say I was hooked on the very first tournament, man. Just the knowledge behind it, man, and just knowing that it's all in studies, and it's all in just who's going to get to this spot first. Because during the time there wasn't no open lake launch. It was one ramp, and we all launched from there. So it was just, man, it was a rodeo. It was more adrenaline than anything, and I thrived for it, man. After that, so when I really got serious, is when I bought my very first. I guess you call them like a fishing kayak / pro kayak is what I used to call them. I had no knowledge of fishing. I was a city boy from Cincinnati. I still throw a open face rod like I'm fly fishing. I hold the string and I cast it. So yeah, I got my first kayak from Craig Dye, and it was a wilderness system at the time. And from there, man, I was hooked. I wanted the electronics, and I wanted this, and I wanted that. And yeah, I think the very first year is when I really got a taste for it. But when I really start taking it 100% serious is I think after that first year, going into my second year, when I got on Bonafide's pro staff. From there, it was just more excitement on to see the way that the sport was growing, and the people, the genuine people, man. Just everybody was congratulating you. Everybody was like, yeah, man, you should try this out and try that out. And it was just it's a feeling that really can't be explained until you get out there. You know, it's more excitement and adrenaline than anything that I've
Yeah.
ever experienced.
Yeah. It's definitely a different feeling. And like you say,
Oh yeah.
I couldn't imagine because in basketball, we all launched from the same ramp, but I've never, when I got into it, it was, put in wherever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine having to take off at the same spot with everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes I
Oh yeah.
almost wonder if like we should do that. We should go back to that. I know it would be tough because some of these tournaments have got like 200 people in them, So
Oh
like
yeah.
it would probably be a lot more, I would think, more bickering and fighting if you had to do that now with so many people,
Yeah.
but there's times I'm kind of like, like when Steve Owens and all of them started going and designating ramps, for the tournament. I almost think too they ought to narrow them down even more, and it's just
Yeah.
only a few ramps. I just think it would make things really tight, and
Oh yeah.
but yeah, no, that's really cool to see. I like seeing the progression of people from where they start to go to where they are now. But when you first started, what was your main like go-to baits? And then,
Oh man. Believe it or not, when I first started, I strictly stuck to what I used to use whenever I wade the rivers. I used to catch a lot of little, I guess they call rock bass or red eyes. It's multiple names for them. Black perch. I used to catch a lot of those on the little bitty rapula crawfish. And man, I went to my first tournament ever on that, and I was absolutely wearing a fish out. No size to them. I think I threw back probably 10 or 12-inch bass. I had no knowledge that we can keep a 12-inch bass, so I'm just chunking them back. I'm chunking them back, and they're like, Parris, you ain't get a limit. I'm like, no, man, I was only catch 12-inch bass, dude. I was like, if I would have got a 13, I would have been in the money. And they're like, no, Parris, dude, the 12 would have counted. So I learned that really, really quick. But yeah, it was a rapula. It was a little rapula crawfish.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now going into this, because I know I was like this when I even got into bass boat tide. Like I'd used to fish ponds and and I'd go wading with my dad and we'd fish a river and we just catch good
Mhm.
smallmouth or we catch good largemouth at ponds and all that stuff. So going into the tournament, I'm like, man, I can compete with these guys. I mean,
Oh yeah.
did you have that feeling when you went in? Like, man, I can compete with these guys. Then you get your feelings hurt.
Oh yeah, I definitely had that feeling, and it went away really quick at the end of the tournament. Really quick. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But at the beginning of every tournament, I mean, you get that same feeling like, okay, this is my tournament. I got this. I got
yeah.
this. So,
Well, you kind of you got to be positive going into it, even if you have a bad
absolutely.
practice, because every day changes, every hour changes in bass fishing. So every day is a new day, and even if you had a really good practice, I mean, it can go south quick. So
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you got to keep it positive mind because if you feel like you've already gotten beat down or you're going to get beat, what's the point of showing up? Really, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, what's the point of taking the
Correct.
time? So, but yeah, you still got to keep that same mentality. Like, this is my day. I'm going to win.
Oh
I'm going
yeah.
to win today.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
I remember I used to work with guys that, I fish bass tournaments or whatever. And, you have a bad event, you come to work and they're talking about, oh man, well, you should have thrown this or if I was fishing, man, I know I could do good. And I'm like, where do you fish? Like, and I think they got that same mentality like we had when we first started, like
Yeah.
I fish a pond, I catch them big all the time coming in, they get their feelings hurt. Um, but let's kind of go into, we're getting a little further. So now that, that's what you used to throw. What's your main, I mean, are you more versatile now? Like what's your main go-to baits?
So me, I'm more of I study structure, which I learned this off of Russ. I start off every single tournament with one bait. I'm gonna throw a jig 100% of the time, starting off, no matter what. I think a jig for me is the most versatile bait. If you change up the weights from a half to a 3/8, even smaller, um, I swim a jig, I hop a jig. You can throw it around structure. I mean, it's just so much stuff that you can do with a jig, and it's a natural food to the bass crawfish. I mean, they always eating it. So I'm like, I'm going to start off with a jig. Um, 9 times out of 10, that is my go-to bait every single time.
And do you keep kind of going in depth with your jigs? Are you one of these guys that keep it kind of simple? You only have like 2 or 3 different colors that you have all.
Um, well, I don't know about simple. I mean, we got our blacks and blues. That's a mandatory. Every angler have to have a black and blue. Every angler have to have a green pumpkin. But the jigs that I use, Mark Southern is the creator of Bad Boy Jigs. Um, I the colors I couldn't even tell you. It got green in it. It's got orange in it. My favorite color is called Junkyard Dog. It's just got this. It's got black and blue, green pumpkin, or orange in it. And it's just phenomenal to
Yeah.
me. I love that color 100%. So
Yeah, it's crazy how them different certain like here at Smith Mountain Lake, man. If it like especially early in the spring, if it ain't got a little bit of purple in it, like a green pumpkin with a brown and a little bit of purple, you know, like that's the deal here on Smith Mountain. And like I can't remember what they call that SML special or something. I can't remember, but it is crazy. Like certain jigs like that, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
how many crawfish you pull up that's got that much different colors in it? You know, I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
there's
Yeah. So I take it, the color that I throw, I mean, they can mistake it for a brim or, a sunfish, just that they have all those different varieties. And I've noticed that sometimes I throw it out there that is that color, that Junkyard Dog. I throw it out there and I bounce it along the bottom, won't get bit. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to start swimming it. So I just throw it out there and I reel it back and I get hammered 100% of the time. And so it could just be just a 1 minute they think it's a crayfish or they might think it's a brim. So I think it's just so versatile with that particular color that it imitates so many different baits. And according to what they're eating, if I'm swimming it, they could think it's a brim. If I'm jigging it, they can think it's a crayfish. If I'm I don't know, burning it on the top and just letting it fall, they can think it's a dime bait fish. Who knows what they thinking, but yeah, that color is definitely just worked for me.
Yeah. That's cool. So what's your, when you go from a jig, what's your next go-to bait?
Man, I want to throw a Cinco so bad. Oh my goodness, these boys, they spanked me a couple of times on a Cinco, and they're like, Parris, throw a Cinco. But believe it or not, I go from a jig to a chatterbait. Honestly, if the chatterbait after the jig, the chatterbait's not working, I initially go to a shaky head with a trick worm.
Gotcha. It seems like in the kayaking world, if you don't throw a wacky rig or a chatterbait, like why even make the kayak?
I've never threw a wacky rig. And
Really?
man, people are like, Parris, you got to expand, dude. Wacky rig is the way to go. And I've never thrown it. I guess because I'm a power fisherman.
Mm-hmm.
Even on my jig, I don't let it soak. Um, I've heard guys they say that they'll throw it out there and just sit it and they'll just leave it there. And I'm like, what do you mean just leave it? They're like, I don't move it at all. And they get bit. It's amazing. I'm proud of them. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it, but so even if I threw like the shaky head or the wacky rig, that is a presentation where the wacky rig, you throw it out there and you twitch it and stop, or however it works. I don't know because I don't throw it. But even with my jigs, man, I'm constantly bouncing it back. Like I'm moving it quick. I'm chatterbait. I'm burning it. I've never Ned rig, for instance. Whenever I throw a Ned rig, whenever we have our 4-for-4 tournaments or something like that on a Ned rig, I know I can get bit. I'm constantly bouncing it back to me. I never like raise my tip up, let it fall on anything.
Yeah.
So even on finesse presentations, I'm power fishing a finesse presentation every single time.
Yeah. It's my dad, for instance, he calls it dead sticking. That's what he calls it. He'll throw a worm out there and he'll let that thing soak. Like I was like, Dad, as long as you let that thing soak. I mean, have you ever seen a worm that's been sitting in water for a long time or it gets really big? I'm like, man, that thing ought to be 2 times bigger than what it was as long as you let that thing sit there. Like I just can't do it.
Oh yeah.
I gotta
can't.
But looking back, kind of getting into this, and you named off a lot of power hitters or heavy hitters for kayak fishing. In Tennessee, you guys have got some sticks down there, man. I mean, like if you can come up the ranks fishing against them guys in Tennessee, I feel like you could go anywhere in the country and catch them. You know what I mean? Like them guys, all them guys are tough. I mean, there's
Yes,
some
sir.
sticks down there, and y'all got some really good clubs down there with a lot of attendance, and you guys come to play. When you go into a tournament. So,
Absolutely.
but who was some of the main guys looking back at it that really helped hone your skills and kind of guided you in the right direction of becoming a better angler?
Um. hmm. Well, Russ, that man is the most. I think he's an alien, honestly. The guy is he's from another world, man.
Yeah.
You can be in a tournament with him, and he'll come by you 1,000 miles an hour. He got a torpedo on the back, and he's still paddling. I'm just like, he's next level. But I've been in situations where I was in a tournament and I needed, to call out a couple fish, and I'm like, he stopped. Hey, Parris, how you doing? And I'm like, man, I need to throw this, or I need to, call out this or that. And he was like, dude, I'm throwing this, and he would literally tell you exactly what he's throwing. Russ has definitely helped me out, man. As far as knowing how long to keep something in the strike zone, he don't wait, and that's what makes him such a great angler. And that he's taught me that skill where once I'm in that strike zone, if I'm out of that strike zone, I go ahead and reel it back in, and I get back in the strike zone. So I got to give credit to Russ. Daniel Morris taught me how to throw a bait caster. Hopefully we'll get into that a little bit later. I only threw spinning reels. Not only did I throw spinning reels, I was throwing a frog on a medium light on 10-pound fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
Okay, across the mat on a Chickamauga tournament where I would have absolutely blew it out the water. But yeah, I couldn't hook up on it because once again I'm throwing a medium light spinning rod. Daniel Morris is the one that taught me how to throw a bait caster. I had no idea how to throw them. So he's definitely one that I have to thank as far as opening up my skill level on a bait caster, because now I feel like I'm a much better angler now that I throw 99% bait casters. I got one spinner reel now. So Russ, Daniel Morris, Derek Bostic, he has taught me, man, so much on just the jig, and that's my primary bait. So yeah, I got to give credit to them three guys for absolutely just taking my game to the next level.
Yeah. That's something that's really cool about the sport of fishing is it always seems like, a lot of the guests we've had, even pro fishermen, all that can always think back to somebody that's taught them something. You know what I mean? Like it's always that one guy that taught you something or a couple of guys,
Oh, yeah.
and I think it's so important, when guys talk about wanting to go to the next level in fishing that or wanting to get into fishing tournaments in general, and, want to know how to do it and all that. And the first thing I always tell them is try to find you a small club. Some of these clubs, they'll have meetings
Absolutely.
once a month or just, just getting there and having the tournament, and talking with these guys. I was like, It's so important to get friends. Now, some of these clubs, not the same club is good for everybody. You know what I mean? There's politics, there's this and that in some of these clubs, but like find your club and fish it for a while. You learn so much
Absolutely.
from everybody.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's just incredible to hear the stories of people looking back and thinking. I mean, I can look back at, guys like I never used to throw a Carolina rig. Like I'm like, man, I'm not tying that crap on. Look at that. I ain't wearing. And then and I would throw it some, but like I'm like I throw it 3 or 4 times. I'm like, heck with this. And then I fished with the guy Ivan Morris, Rick Morris's brother. We was down at Bugs Island, and I don't know. We were fishing a Federation event, and I brought like 6 rods. He's like, "What are you gonna do with all them?" I'm like, "I'm gonna fish with him." Also, as a co-angler, he goes, "You only need 1 rod today." I'm like, "What's that?" Carolina rig. I said, "I ain't got none of that tied on." He took my rod and retied. I mean, tied everything. Tied Carolina rig on for me because I don't know much about it. And he put a bait on it, and he says, "This is what we're throwing all day," and it worked. Like now, I don't take Carolina rig off. I got 2 rods designated to Carolina rig fishing, you know.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, you look back at stuff like that, you know, and
Yeah.
you look like the success you've had now. If you'd have never talked with them guys, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened, but it got there quicker. You know what I mean? And having that
Oh,
group
yeah.
support.
For
So,
sure.
but so let's talk. So what all did you fish this year? What was I know you had some success in the Tennessee the KBF Tennessee
Yes,
series.
KBF 10. Yes, sir.
Yep. So talk a bit about that, how your year went, and you know the successes you had.
Yeah. So I was trying to the beginning of the year. I'm like, man, I got to hold on to this angler of the year. I got to hold on to it. Everybody's gunning for it. It's a accomplishment that many want, and so I'm like, man, I just got to hold on to it for one more year. If I can get it 3 years, I feel even better, or I feel more accomplished. So initially going into the season opener, it was on Old Hickory Lake. It was cold. The wind was blowing. It was so cold. We had anglers that was like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. I'm going to the house. I mean, it was cold. You had to be dedicated. So I went into that first tournament, and it was the first time I think in a long time that I was like, dude, I can't get a bite to save my life. I just can't. And sure enough, I went up in this one cove, and I ended up catching 3 or 4 out of this one cove, but I still didn't get my limit. So it kind of put me down for a little bit, because you'll humble yourself in this club really quick. And so I'm like, man, I'm already down place, 12 points. I was like, I don't know if I can pull this back off. So I bunkered down, and I was like, you know what, I just got to do it. And every tournament after that, I was first, second, or third. Every single tournament after that, and honestly, the whole year long, I threw one bait that caught me my limit, and then I played around with a couple other lures. But when I tell you, I threw that jig every single tournament, and one tournament they were eating it with me bouncing it. The next tournament they were eating it with me swimming it. I actually caught a 21-inch smallmouth. We have a 21-inch challenge that we all put a pot in, and I mean that's all in a pot. And whoever catch the first 21-inch bass get the pot. This year it got up to like $1,100 for one fish. That's
Wow.
just a side pot. Yeah, one fish, and my trailer came off of my jig. It came off, and I just threw it out there. And sure enough, I'm fishing this little bluff wall, and I got the bite of a lifetime, this 21-inch smallmouth, man. And I'm fighting this thing with no trailer, just the jig. And yeah, I mean, I think that's really what progressed me this year, just the jig, honestly. I just stayed with the jig, and first, second, and third, pretty much every event. So that was my goal through the year, was to achieve that Angler of the Year award again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so some of these, I initially wanted to fish more of the pro circuit tournaments, which 2024 is a lot of pro circuit tournaments that I want to be fishing. The Bassmasters, Hobie Boss, the Bass Nations with Steve Owens. I just fished my very first tournament with them. No, this is my second tournament with them guys that I fished on Dale Hollow. Never fished that lake. I'm just right now. I'm at a point where there's no turning back. I want to go all the way with it, man. And yeah, so that's really what I set my sights to this year. My tournament schedules went amazing. I won more first place finishes than I've ever won this year. Like I said, I stayed in the top 3. It was just great. It was great. I had a great turnout this year.
Well, that's good, and hard work pays off, man. And I mean, you're
Yes,
a
sir.
prime example of it. I mean, you come
Yes, sir.
from just bank fishing, you know what I mean, to a buddy saying, "Hey, man, come try it." Getting
Oh,
your
yeah.
feelings hurt, and then you never let up, and you can't do it, and that's awesome to see that. And I think that's great, because that shows dedication, hard work pays off, no matter what you do, whether you're playing sports,
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
school, whatever. It's hard work pays off. So that's awesome. So next year you're looking at fishing some bigger events. What is there one that, because not unless you gonna do all of them, but is there one that you're really looking at, like trying to chase AOI in?
So it is this the Hobie. Not only do I want to chase AOY in that, man, I want to make it to that tournament of champions so bad, man. I do, just to fish against the caliber of anglers that fish that, man. It's just something about it. Now I don't look at these high end anglers. Jordan Marshall, I fished against him on his own home lake in on Watts Bar, and I was more excited just to be fishing against him on his home lake versus, oh man, I'm on his home lake. I know he's going to take my money. I was
Yeah.
just excited. So that tournament of champions, just to fish against those anglers who have performed, you know, to their best throughout the year, for all of them to fish against each other. I just want to be there. I want to be in that spot. I just want to feel that feeling. I think if I make it there, and of course, win an AOY and a pro circuit like that'd be just an amazing accomplishment. But yeah, that tournament of champions is definitely a goal that I'm going to try to do. Um, and I think this year is the first year that I'm really going to have the availability to be able to travel and to be able to just really give it my all, give it my all on some of these big circuit tournaments.
And that's what you have to do. Like, I mean, we tried
Absolutely.
it, and me and James fished back and forth with Hobie and BASS, and then we kind of pulled out last year and just did BASS. Well, because we just didn't have the time to fish both. And I mean, still, man, just the dedication to it. Like, some of these tournaments are about back to back, and it's just like, I give it to people like Christine Fisher and Russ Snyder and Jordan Marshall and all of them, man, because I'm looking and I'm like, how in the world do y'all
Oh
keep
yeah,
this going? I mean, it is
yeah.
insane.
Oh, it's definitely
Yeah,
it definitely takes some dedication. Oh my goodness, because man, after our season ended, I fished. I fished around, and I fished a couple of smaller tournaments, a farewell tournament. But throughout the winter time, I normally take my kayak just to do a little TikTok video or something like that, but not really overexerting myself. And man, when I tell you I fished that tournament out there on Dale Hollow, I've never been so sore in my life. I still don't, I still haven't put my motor on. I won a motor from the championship that was on Gunnersville. I had won a motor, and I still haven't put it on. And man, dude, I have never been so tired in my life. I'm telling you. So I know what it takes. They, like I said, they're aliens, absolutely from another planet.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, you're right. I mean, especially like Russ Snyder's, like you talked earlier. Like, I fished so many different events with him, and I'm just like, how in the world, man? Like, are you even on the same body of water? Like, are we on the same body of water? Are you something different, or
Dude.
like, and
Oh yeah.
Drew Gregory, for instance, him and Drew Gregory, they find these spots that are just like way off the beaten path. You know what I mean? And like, especially if I'm new out of state, like Tennessee or Mississippi, or man, I went down some back roads, and I mean, that's bullet holes and signs, and I'm like, I don't know
Oh
if I
yeah.
need to be here or not.
Yeah.
Going down early in the morning, you're pulling off later in the afternoon. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm scared I ain't gonna have a car when I
Yeah.
get back. So, but I give it to them guys, man. They're just beasts, and it's like say it's you really got to be on the next level to even come close to trying to compete against them guys. And like I said,
Oh yeah.
I think you're going to have a great year. I think you're going to smash it this year. And not saying you might not beat them every time, but I think you'll give them a run for their money.
Oh, I'm aiming for it. I am. That is, man, that is it. I'm excited now. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't
So
wait.
are you going to be heading to Florida here?
I think I am. I've been checking, which I haven't signed up yet. So far my schedule is looking good. I just got to make sure everything else is in order. And if it is, man, I'm excited to go. Never fished that lake. I probably won't even get to do much pre-fishing, which a lot of people they've always acting like, Parris, dude, you don't do any pre-fishing. That's something about me. I never pre-fish. I am one that I'm afraid that if I go to the spot that I'm going to be fishing, I'm going to have their mouth sore, or I'm going to pull out a 20-inch fish that tournament day would have definitely helped me, and then I go there day 2 or the tournament day and don't catch the same fish, even though I know the quality of fish there. I couldn't do it to myself. I just could not do it. So sometimes it hurts and sometimes it helps. So far, I haven't been in a situation where it hurts me more than it helps. So I think that's just the angle I'm gonna take it. No pre-fishing, just pull up my Google Maps, Navionics, study it, and YouTube videos, etc., and just go from there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. A lot of our tournaments that we've done, I don't want to say kayaking as much. I mean, we have had some, like, Fork was really good to us when we went 2 years ago down there with no practice. We just put in and just we tried to get down there practice, but it was snowing and sleeting that time. Like, it was everything was iced up, and that was a good tournament. But a lot of our tournaments that we've had, like you say, I feel like I always mess myself up pre-fishing too long. I think I watch these guys sometimes put a weekend of pre-fishing, and I'm like, man, that's got to kill you. That's got to hurt you, because then now you got like 20 different spots, and that's always in your head.
Yep.
So I just don't know. I don't know. I just feel like that hurts you more than anything. And I think, 2 to 3 days of practice at most was okay. But I'm kind of like you too, man. When you got on the water, you don't want to just ride around. I got to catch something, like I want to see if something. So, but yeah. So, I mean, you're going to be fishing a lot of these bigger events, and like I say, you'll be chasing AOI and the Hobie. Do you got, like, I know you're on several team deals and all that stuff, but I mean, money wise, what's it like? You got anybody helping you with that, or have you landed any deals?
I haven't landed any deals where I'm on a paid level. No tournaments have ever been paid. Everything for me is, it being that, I'm the only one working in my family household. Being that I want it that way, we don't, me and my fiance, we don't believe in, the whole daycare thing, or she's really not about all of that. So I just let her stay home. The sponsors that I have, I've never even just talked to them about paying for a tournament or anything. So everything that I've ever done is traveling expenses. All of that is coming out of pocket. Everything.
Yeah. And it gets expensive. I mean, it's tough work, and I've always, for us, I'm like, man, that just kind of hangs over your head a little bit. You're like, man, I just paid all this money. Like, I hope I can make a little bit back. But but no, I think, like I say, once you start getting in your routine and you figuring it out and you cash a couple checks, that really helps out,
Oh yeah.
And like I say, then you're good. But yeah, I definitely, it's something we've always struggled with, because we talked to several people, and I'm just like, it's hard to work, especially this day and age. And this kind of get us going to our next topic is, it's really hard to get that money now, because it seems like marketing dollars are a whole lot less now than it was 2 or 3 years ago, and from your take, what do you look at as fishing's growing, kayak is growing, like the kayaking industry is booming right now. Everybody's getting into it. Everybody's kind of like, say, they might listen to this story tonight and they're like, man, that sounds like fun. I'm gonna go buy me a kayak and I'm gonna come in here and try to, do like Parris is doing right now. And there's more, that's just more people in the basket,
Right.
What is your take on, where do you think this industry is going? I mean, do you think that there's room for many more trails, etc., or, and so many more people, or what do you think? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to even get the words out of how I want to answer this.
If I'm on the right track, I think in the near future, Tourney X is, because right now it's I think they run into a judging / the app crashing once it's so many people, so they only allow it's like 250 people or something like that, or 200 per tournament. Either 200 or 250 on these pro circuit tournaments. I think they're going to come up with something where the number of anglers is going to exceed what it is now. I'm hoping it gets in the 400s and 500s, and the payouts get even greater. What I would like to see is a major leagues fishing style of kayak fishing. I think that's the next step. If you ask me, the way that it's growing, and we having um, major league fishermen already fishing in kayaks. What is his name? Akinale. He's fishing in a kayak now. That right there just opened up the window for so much and so many more opportunities. And I think the next step is definitely going to be a major league fishing platform as far as us kayak guys being on TV, and it's well deserved. Honestly, the work and effort and the time and just the knowledge that you have to bring to the table just to get to this one particular spot. We're not in the bass boat, so we can't, have those 20 plus spots that, 1 mile here, 5 miles over there, 10 miles over there. We don't have that luxury. So, man, it's tough. But I think, like I said, the future of kayak fishing, I think the payouts is going to be a lot greater in the near future. Which Hobie, when they stepped in, they stepped up big when on their payout end. And that's why they had them 200 sold out events. Everybody at the end of the day, yes, it's a beautiful sport and the competition is there, but ultimately everybody is fishing for that check. And if that check is there, then that's where majority of the anglers is going to be. So as far as someone opening up another trail event, pro circuit event, if the money's greater over there, more anglers are going to go over there. That's just the way it's going right now. That's the direction that everything is turning. So,
Yeah, we got one guy saying Carl Jockersman just signed up for the BOS at Harris Chain too. Yeah, I think the pros coming in is going to help build this sport up even more. You know what I mean? Like, and getting them in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
some guys, man, like when Iconelli was doing it, there was a lot of guys that were totally upset about it. They just did not like it. And there was guys that, basically feeling like it was an unfair advantage. Man, to me, I don't know how you feel, Paris. I want to fish an event that's got the best in it. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want an event that, don't get me wrong, the feeling like, say you go in, you got a couple buddies, they're not the greatest, but you feel like you go in, you're like, I can probably whip them all, but what's the feeling? What did you accomplish? Nothing really, because you didn't fish as hard as you possibly could have. When you get guys like Iconelli and Carl Jockerson and Brandon Polinick and Jordan Lee and all of them that fish this stuff sometimes, like, man, that's the guys. That's the guys I want to beat, or you got Russ Snyder, Christine Fisher, and all them in it. They're the ones you want to beat. And I think it's great for the sport. Now, kind of talking about, the different pro trails and all that stuff. Me personally, I almost think either one or two of these events need to come together. And let's say, look, the marketing dollars are trash right now. It really is. Like, there's not a lot out there. It's not a lot to go around for so many trails. We're seeing it in the bass boat world right now with Bass, MLF, now the National Pro Fishing League. Like, there's no way that everybody, like, now you're having to split the pie even more, Right. I think they need to come together. I think Hobie, BOS, Bass, the way they are, that's kind of like, to me, like, that should be like an open series. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you're going to qualify to get to this big league. And I think Bass or Hobie or something needs to come together, and we have one big league where it's only like the top 100 out of the country fish this thing, and that's what's televised. You know what I mean? Like, and entry fees are higher because I think that's where the dollar is going to come in. I think that's when you're going to be like, you're going to have all these different non-endemic sponsors wanting to come in and put. I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think? I mean, do you think they would have enough turnout if, let's say, the entry fees, for Bassmasters, they spend $48,000 a year just in entry fees, 48 to 50,000. So, granted, they got a lot more overhead with bass boats and campers and whatever they do to travel for the year. But for like kayaking, I almost think like if you had a series where it's like $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 in entry fees per event, you know what I mean? Do 5, 6 events, 7 events. I mean, man, and have big money to win. Like, they're winning a big prize each time. I mean, what do you? I mean, you think they could sustain something like that?
I do, just because the caliber of anglers that we have now in the kayak community, everybody's hungry for it. You know, it's everybody want to be the next Bill Dance, Kevin Van Dam, but in the kayak community.
Mhm.
Um, and so if they come out with a tournament where like you said the pay in or the fee was 3, 4, $5,000, I don't see why anglers wouldn't jump on it. If you're serious about the sport, um, it's going to make you more hungry for it. It's going to make you do more studies. It might make me pre-fish, something of that caliber, and the payout being $100,000 or $50,000. Um, Honestly, I think a lot of anglers will go for it, even
Yeah.
if they do one. I mean, if they okay, this year I'm going to fish all of these. That's $250, but I am going to dedicate this one big tournament that's coming up. That's a $5,000 pay in order to fish it. I got to fish that. I got to. I think a lot of anglers set aside that money to fish it. Not only to fish against the best, but also to fish against other anglers for that big check.
Yeah. And I think it would push dollars to that event and take it. I mean, I don't want to say when you take it away, like put it into the actual sponsor, the tournament itself, like
Oh yeah,
BOS, for instance. And then, but because that's like to me, that would be like the open series. That's how you qualify to get to this event.
yeah,
And, and then like, and not have so much going into all the anglers fishing it, because when you got 200 anglers fishing it, well, not all of them are seeking sponsorship. Not all of them are trying to do that, because they might just fish one or two events here and there. You know what
right.
I mean? But I think that if you could do something like that, the money just goes into the Hobie BOS event or Bass Open
Hmm.
Series. That way they can offer more payout or higher payouts. Not say higher payouts, but more payouts down the field to help these guys get money to keep coming to the next event to help try to
Yeah,
qualify to get into this.
absolutely.
I think the kayak series really tries to make it their own, and I give them full credit for that. But you also kind of got to sit back and look at what's going on in Bass and MLF. MLF's not really a good example because they got all kinds of crazy stuff going on, but like Bass going on and seeing how you even qualify to get to that elite series.
Yeah,
Kayak, what'd be really cool is if Hobie and Bass came together. I know this has never happened. This is me dreaming. And like the top 50 out of Hobie and the top 50 out of Bass, or top 25 and top 25, whatever, went, and it's a massive big elite series of, you know what I mean? Like that's
absolutely.
who's coming there and fish. I think that'd be cool. And I mean, companies like Motor Guide, Torpedo, they could put more money into that and let that grow and get the advertisement out of that than they would some of these smaller
Yeah,
events that have so many events.
yeah. Now I think like you said, if the BOS and the Bass took their top 50, what about the anglers that kind of fish both? Let's say me, for instance. Let's say I'm 25 on the BOS and I'm 45 in the Bass. Would I qualify with both, or
I
would
think,
would they knock me out, or would I have to choose? I think that'll
yeah,
be the only dilemma that they'll have as far as will the spots roll down to people who've already in the top 50 on this side
yeah.
um,
And that's how
of
Bass
the
used to do it when they had their open series. They had the northern, the central, and the southern. And some of them
Mhm.
guys will fish all three or at least two of them, all of them, and they might double qualify. So they'll take it off of one and be like, all right, the next guy gets that qualifying
Got you.
position. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like a rollover kind of deal. Like we have in, for instance, like trying to qualify for the Bassmasters, the kayak championship through Bassmasters or Hobie BOS. If some guy's already qualified, it kind of rolls down. If you double
Got
qualify,
you.
the
Awesome.
next person rolls
Awesome.
down. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think the kayak fishing world has boomed. I think it grew so fast that now they kind of need to set back and be like, all right, we got to kind of try to. It's really tough, man, for guys like you that want to travel and fish them all, but they're so tight together. And people, this is a working man series, so like
Oh
it's
yeah.
really tough to pick everything, pick and choose, vacations and work and all that stuff. So I just think it needs to be simplified a little bit more for guys that are trying to make this a living. or semi-pro, shall we say? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Royce, focus on tournaments, leave the new anglers behind. Average anglers need one objective as much as pros. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. The sport's in an odd time. Like, we don't know. It's new. You know what I mean? Like, and it grew so fast that I don't know. I think everybody's doing a really good. Hobie, Bass, Steve Owens, and them are doing a good job, and trying to make. Steve Owens came into this position when it was kind of wishy-washy, and a lot of things were kind of crazy, and he really turned it around and made it such a good deal, and helping with the local, like the Bass Nation series, for the kayak stuff. He's doing a good job with that. So, and BOS, I mean, we fished him. I had a good time. Everybody in there was such good people, and they run a really well organized tournament trail.
Absolutely.
I love that. So I can't knock none of them. I think they're all doing a great job. I just think we need to look into the future and see where is it going to go, where we're going to become that next big professional level. Or do you just say, you know what, I've done all these, now I'm going to the bass boat side. But when you do that, now you got to kind of basically start all over.
Right. Start from the bottom.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough to make it to the highest level of kayak fishing, and then go to the next level and have to start from the bottom again. You know what I mean? Like, I say that's really hard for guys. So, well, Parris, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know you got kids, and it's about bedtime for everybody.
Oh yeah.
But man, yeah. I really appreciate talking with you, and I think you're just your personality and your willingness to really go at it. I love that, and I think that's what this sport needs. We need guys like you that really push hard to make the next guy push harder. You know what I mean? So,
yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. We're super happy to have you on our team. Like, that's Robert Brown was a big influencer. Like, I've watched you and I've seen your posts, and then Robert's like, man, got to get this guy. He is really good. And I listen to a lot of our pro staffers when they talk about people. And I think you're a great guy and good fit for the team, and looking forward to seeing where things go for you for the 2024 season, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Back on Robert Brown, man, that guy right there has been a mentor for me, man. He's been an ear. Anytime I've needed him or I've had a question, he didn't hesitate. And as you know, if everybody know Robert Brown, he's so straightforward. He gets straight to it. He tell you exactly what it is and what it ain't. And that's all I need. I need somebody to just tell me, look, Parris, this is a no, that is a yes. Don't beat around the bush with me. And that guy done it for me. Absolutely. So he's a great guy. And he opened up this opportunity for me, man. And I appreciate you guys even, looking my way and accepting me. It definitely won't go unnoticed. I'm excited. I'm super excited. Starting off 2024 with you guys, man, is a dream. Honestly, I didn't think I'd make it to win a tournament, let alone, be on Bonafide's pro staff, be with you guys, Dakota Lithium, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's just like, I'm excited for myself to see where everything is going to go, man. As far as my fishing career, I'm all in, 100% all in. And thank you guys for having me tonight. I really appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah. We're very grateful to have you, man, and have you come on tonight. And like I say, we're going to get you on again. We're going to pick your brain about jig fishing. We're going to go in depth. We're going to go in depth with you. And, but like I say, big congrats on your 2023 season. And I'm really looking forward to 2024. And I know you're going to do well. And wish you all the best, and hope you have just have a great season, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, buddy. You have a good one, Parris.
Y'all too. Y'all take care.
Bye. All right. That man, that dude's super humble. Like, I was going through looking at his post the last several days from TikTok to Facebook and all that stuff, really getting to kind of know this guy. And like I said, I've never had the opportunity to really talk to him in any tournaments. I most time when me and James go to tournaments, and I might not even been into some of the tournaments he was in, I don't know. But we kind of stick to ourselves a lot of times. We go in, we do the registration, we go on back home. Like, that's just what we do. We don't talk to a lot of people and do our own thing. But to have him on our team and to be humble like he is, that's the kind of people we look for on our team. But also, they're the kind of guys that you gravitate to, like they're positive, that positive mental attitude that Gerald Swindle talks about all the time. You don't want to be around people that are negative. You want to be around people that are positive and know they're going to go out and catch them. And I mean, I do have days where I'm like, man, I've told Chris before we get into basket, man, I don't want to catch them there. No, I don't know what's going to happen. And I look back and I'm like, that's the worst attitude to have. You go on the water, like, God, why do I have that attitude? But no, super good guy, and looking forward to seeing things go his way this year. And I think he's going to kill it. I think he's going to do really well. So, but now I wanted to talk just a little bit. It's just, I'm not going to go fully in depth with it. I'm looking, after having this conversation with Parris Edwards and talking with, kiss my butt. But having this conversation with Parris and looking at the fishing industry as it is right now, like, Milligan did a video a while back really talking about the stuff going on with these big corporate companies in fishing, like Berkeley and all them. Like, if you haven't watched it, I think I shared it. If not, go on there and just watch Milligan's video. If you like him or not, he going to ICAST and talking to so many different people and people of this business, and you kind of start putting things together. You kind of start seeing things lining up that, it's one thing to hear something from somebody and then you're like, whatever, people's got their own opinion or they might've heard a rumor, but when things start coming together and you start looking around, you're like, man, I thought this is what I was hearing was coming, and I see a lot of pros that was with some of these companies that are pulling off now, and kind of doing their own thing or going with a smaller company that I'm like, holy crap. Like, why in the world did he, like Hank Cherry? I mean, he just made a big move to a rod, I don't want to say off the wall rod company, because they might do really well. I don't know. They're doing fishing line and all that stuff, but it's just, when you think Elite Pro, you're thinking like name brand. You're thinking Seagar, Sunline, P-Line, Berkeley, Strand, all that stuff. And then just some of the changes that are going on in the fishing industry. It's just really good. I can't remember the daggone name of the company now, but anyway, I'll pull it up real quick. But just to see the changes that are going on, I mean, every year it's just like NASCAR. It's just like fishing in general. Like, you're going to get new sponsors. You know what I mean? If the money's not there, you're going to have to change up, because it's, to them, it's a living, you know what I mean? So they got to have the money coming in to sustain what they're doing. But, sorry, I was typing in Chris's name instead of, but you got to have the money sustained to keep doing what you're doing. And, I'm looking at like the payouts, and I'm looking at just how it's called Monster Fish Outdoors. So like they do bass, I mean, it's all kinds of different stuff. Level Performance, rods, Xing, Zing line or something. It's just, it just kind of threw me off there. I said everything's expensive, especially the big companies. Yeah. And so me and James, like this year, we're pulling back from doing all this big tournament stuff, all this traveling. We figured up our expenses in it. Okay. And then we sit down and figured up the average expenses of most anglers fishing a kayak series and what they have in it. That's just the simple stuff: gas, lodging, entry fees, the little stuff, not buying tackle here, not getting this for the next tournament, not getting, running into repairs with vehicles and all that stuff. But I mean, dude, it's easy to blow $25,000 in a year.
Oh, yeah.
It really, and that's traveling with two people. It's easy to blow $25,000 in a year plus, really. So you kind of sit back and you're like, all right, let's say I cash a few checks. Well, I mean, man, the elite pros, for instance, are paying out $100,000 a year. Okay. If you win one event, if an elite pro wins one event, he just broke even. He just won $100,000 and he just broke even. I listened to a podcast the other day with Chris Zaldane. basically 10% of the pros on the Elite Series are actually getting a full ride. So if there's 100 pros on it, that's 10 pros, right?
Yeah.
That are getting a full-time, flat-out ride, But you listen to a lot of the deals, a lot of the boat deals ain't like they were. Like it used to be, you get the boat and you sell it at the end of the year, or you get it as a demo boat kind of deal, and you run it, and then they'll sell it at the end of the year,
Yeah.
Is just crazy. So making contacts from magazines has been eye-opening about companies and their operations. Yeah, well, right now, before I get to that, because I can get sidetracked here, and we'll be talking all night. But it's just mind blowing to me. Like some of these like pros, they make a $10,000 check an event. Okay, that just paid for their lodging, that just paid for gas, that just paid for their entry fee, possibly. Like depends on what they got wrapped up in it. It can get really expensive. And the kayaking side, they're like, oh man, the kayaking side, you don't have all the expense, you don't have the overhead, you don't have the boats and all that stuff. Well, let me tell you something though, man. You still got to eat. You can do it cheap. You can go as cheap as you possibly want to go in these deals. But to do it comfortably without sleeping in your car all the time and getting a decent little room somewhere to lay your head comfortably and take a shower, and then you're eating, you got gas. Some of these guys, not unless you run an older kayak, that's fine. But like, man, you can still wrap a lot of money up in one event. It's $250 an event. And then you got your gas. Let's just say you got let's say you got a smart car and you're putting your kayak on the top. Okay. You still got $100, $150 in gas. All right. On top,
I'd like to see someone put a 12-foot kayak on top of a smart car.
Dude, I bet you that'd be like I bet it's like an airplane, you know what I mean? It start getting lift. Then you got all your tackle in your smart car. You know what I mean? Like that'd be. But like even if you go dirt cheap, you're still looking anywhere between $500 to $1,000 for the weekend. That's getting down there and Craig, yeah, and he stayed with several people. $1,300. Yeah, it's easy to do, man. It's easy to do. So most of these tournaments, it's very hard to get in there and win consecutively $1,300 all year long. So even if let's say you win $1,300 all year long, you broke even.
Yep.
And I know that we're not talking about making this a career, but like I give it to guys like Russ Snyder and them that's won some big events. It's placed in a lot of checks. It's done well. But I'd really like to sit down, and that's his business. That's not my business. Without sponsor dollars, how well he said, shh, my wife's listening. Like how much money he came out with profiting wise. You know what I mean? That would be my biggest thing. It's just, but like I know some guys got deals where sponsors will get them a house, and I've heard stories about certain brands getting a house for all their pro staff guys.
That's why you need an Airbnb sponsor, a food sponsor, and a gas sponsor.
Yeah, like Shell or Love's. Love's big because there's Love's everywhere.
Yeah.
I just the dream of mine years ago was to be an elite pro or be a pro fisherman in general. But I always prayed, man. I prayed a lot. I'm strong in my faith when it comes to that. And I prayed a lot to be in the fishing industry. And this right here, what I'm doing right now, we're talking with you guys and making the products that we make. I'm in the fishing industry. Lord bless us for sure to have this opportunity that we have and for me to do what I do. So, every day is a good day. It may not seem like it some days when you talk to me, but every day is a good day because every day I'm blessed to do what I love to do. But the thought of becoming a professional fisherman dwindles every day. Every time I have these conversations with sponsors or other companies in the industry and looking at how money is right now and this and that, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to be a pro anymore. Like, I think I'd pull my hair out every day if I had a bad event, or if you don't perform, man, it looks bad. It looks tough. It's tough. Steven said, go back to sleeping in your trailer. Yeah, dude, that was the only thing sucked about that is like some of the spots are really tight to get into at these ramps. Especially when you try to get these hard to get ramps, like that was the only problem with that. But
you ain't got no more, no way.
No, I sold that when we sold the whole racing operation.
Yeah.
I feel like a big team, the racing operation.
We got your camper, but
yeah, I guess I could do something like that. What did Roy say? What's that one right there? Chris says, all non-corporate fishing companies need to help each other and stick together. Don't let them Walmart. Exactly right, man. It's really tough. Like, for instance, companies like Walmart, companies like Amazon. We got a strict policy with selling on Amazon with our dealers. We don't allow it. We don't sell on Amazon. Amazon's a knockoff company. I mean, if you look, there's a lot of companies that Amazon have knocked off because it's a top seller. You know what I mean? So they're going to go in and make it, send it to China and get it cheap. And so it's a knockoff.
Not Wish. What's that other one? Temu.
Yeah, it's a knockoff company, man. And so, like, we have big guidelines for that. And Walmart is trying to compete with it. Look at some of the junk that they have now. You know what I mean? Bass Pro, man. I mean, like, hey, I like going to a Bass Pro. I'm glad I wasn't at the one where the guy jumped in the pool naked, in the pond naked. You see that video, Chris?
Yeah, I saw that. That was not sure why he did that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's on drugs or what. Cocaine's a powerful drug, man. What was that? What movie was that in?
No, it's Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that's what it was.
When he was interviewing Rick James.
Yeah, but you know, these, you know, that's why I'm big time supporting small businesses now. I try to stay out of Walmart. There's times you can't. You just got to go. You got to get this. You got to get
Walmart
that.
Don't have nothing, no way.
No, they don't. Anyway. And people, oh, well, these tackle stores around here, their prices are high. Well, you got to understand, they can't buy in volume like these big companies can. These big corporate companies can. So your volume is not as high, so you don't get the big discount like they do, you know. And it's going that way with, man. Vibe was right there when they did it with the kayak and stuff and started selling the Dicks and was stepping on a lot of the dealers' feet, you know, in that territory. And Dicks was selling them cheaper, giving them better deals when all these dealers had to stick to MAP pricing, you know. So like, it's kind of crazy how that goes. But like, I try to support the small businesses, you know, the small tackle shops. When me and James go into a town and fish a tournament, we stimulate the economy really well around there. When we start going into these small tackle stores and getting deals on this and that and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I'm just really worried about the sport and where it's going to go here in the next couple of years. The country's kind of in a bad spot right now, I think, and I'm really scared to see, because all that's going to roll downhill towards the fishing industry, and I'm just kind of worried how it's going to go. And like I say, I see a lot of people getting mad at companies for not giving money. You know, we've had to pull back on some of our sponsorship deals we do for people, man, because I mean, we're doing okay, you know, but we got to look out for our best interest and seeing where this country is going to go in the next year or two, you know, and you can't spend all that money, and that's what these companies are doing. And a lot of the problem is now with COVID is, for instance, like kayak shops and all that stuff. I mean, they ordered big because they couldn't get it, so they ordered big because they were flying off the shelves. The companies couldn't keep up. So now these dealers are getting their orders finally. And now everybody's really starting to back off because money's getting tight. So now the dealers are, you know, these big corporate companies are pushing for these dealers, or they're starting to, you know, try to push them more on, hey, you need to get this order in or you're going to be able to order nothing next year, you know? Like, it's just it's a crazy world. I've talked to a lot of dealers, talked to a lot of companies in the last several months, and it is kind of scary to see how things going. What do you say? Yeah, discounts on gear and et cetera. Yeah. I think right now, I mean, if you get on them pro staff deals, like that's the way to go right now. If you really want to, you know, get into that and get into and doing pro staff, and actually it's a good deal. Don't do 10%, 15, whatever, you know. Kayaking is a lower economy sport and it should flourish in tougher times. I agree and I disagree. I see where it's going right now. People are getting mad because they feel like they got to spend a fortune to compete in Hobie and BOS right now. Even in small club levels, people are getting like that. So they feel like they got to go buy a live scope. They feel like you got to buy, they got to go buy a trolling motor, Torpedo, XI3, rig it out because that guy's whooping them. You know what I mean? And so I feel like some people are pushing back from it, and they're not going to spend. They're just going to get the regular kayak and go float the river, you know? And I'm seeing more and more people want to do simpler setups. I mean, we still do a lot of elaborate setups for customers and getting crazy money, but yeah, he has a 10,000. I mean, it's easy to do, man. It's we've
Still
seen
cheaper than a $80,000 bass boat.
100%. 100% it is. I mean, you
What
don't
was
have
that?
to
What was that one with the bullet?
the Icon
bullet they
too.
had?
The Icon's 140.
Well, I'm just talking about the bullet they had at that tackle store at the lake. It didn't have nothing on it but a motor and a boat,
Yeah.
and a hull.
Yeah.
No fish finder, no trolling motor, nothing. $90,000.
Yeah. Yeah. He said, I'm talking about kayak fishing in general. Yes, kayak fishing in general is a lot cheaper than that. You know, and I also look at this, you know, we need as kayakers learn to, like, I don't know, man. I just see so much bickering anymore. Everybody talks about the industry and this and that, but like I see a lot of people getting drove away from it now because I see it on the forums and all that, and people are like, man, they over there, man, they whine a lot, they cry a lot, or they get mad about a lot, and you see it, and it's. I think as the sport grows, we need to come together and try to support this group a lot more, and like, and not everybody thinks they're the next Jordan Lee or next whatever. I don't know, man. I've heard that a lot. I think I'm the next Jordan Lee, you know, or
Oh wow,
he thinks he's the next Jordan Lee or what? I don't know, man. I just not trying to go on a rant here. I just think as the industry grows, everybody needs to come together instead of pushing everybody away and really help grow this sport. And I think it'll flourish. I think it will. I think if every sport, man, I know in go-kart racing, when we were doing go-kart racing, we were talking about that earlier, that the sport has its ups and downs. There's years where there's a pile load of people in it. You can't hardly get a parking spot at the racetrack. And then there's years that they might not even be able to run a class because they ain't got enough people in it. It was, you know, that's just, and I think fishing is going to be like that. You know, the fishing flourished in general, kayak, bass boat, whatever, because of COVID. Everybody got outside. They found out they loved the sport, but then some guys get to blowing a lot of money and all of a sudden realize, hey, man, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to do another hobby. I'm going to race smoke control cars or.
Well, the Harbor Freight Motors.
Yeah.
They got people in go-kart racing.
Yeah. Yeah. Harbor Freight Motors.
Now we need a Harbor Freight kayak to get people into kayak fishing.
That's right. And it probably won't be long. You might have Tractor Supply has some kind of kayak they got now. So, I mean, it won't be long. It says need something when the 360 drive stop. I guess it depends on which 360 drive you got. I've never had a problem with mine. And let's see. I really saw the hurt and crying when Hobie BOS allowed motors. It was a lot of that. But whiners everywhere. Just got to let it go. And one ear and out the other. The other's Tucker and I hear about rookie truckers at least 50 times a day. Yeah. And you're right, man. That's how it is. You just got to kind of let it go. But it's just so many different ears and eyes that are on these forums and all that. And I think that's the stuff that pushes them away sometimes. I mean, you got guys that still don't care. There's, like you saying, just in one ear, out the other. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of it in the last several weeks over tournament series and then they're like, oh, I'm going to start my own tournament series because of this or that. And I'm like, dang, man. Now you got about 30 different tournament series. You know, I can tell you a prime example of how it's going to go. Claytor Lake or Smith Mountain Lake, for instance. Let's just say Smith Mountain Lake. There for a while, man, there were several winter trail series going on. We had one. Basscast had one. We didn't try to step on his toes. We were trying to schedule around it. But when you got them and then you got another club doing one and another club doing one, and then all of a sudden here you are, everybody is stretched out and there's only 10 in each one when there could have been 50 or 60 in one, you know? So I think this is what's going to happen. You know, you got guys talking about, well, how come BOS's didn't have as many entries and this Bass didn't have this many? Because everybody's stretched. They're going everywhere. They can't fish them all. So I think something's going to have to change here soon. And I just don't know when it's going to happen, or how it's going to go, or whatever, or sponsors and all that stuff. Motors are less impactful than live scope. It was always funny to see me allow live scope, but not allow motors. It's always funny to me. Oh, yeah. And you know, the live scope deal, man, and I'm going to end it on this note. The live scope deal to me is I like live scope. But 9 times out of 10, I've seen, especially some of these events like kayak events, won without using a live scope, not even having a graph on her boat. Look at Drew Gregory. That dude won a lot of money without running live scope. Look at Russ Snyder's there for a while, won a lot of money without live scope.
Won without them before they had them.
Yeah, I mean, it has made anglers that wasn't that great better in some circumstances, but also look at this. Sometimes you get wrapped up in live scope. Chris, me and you've done it. Going down the lake, I've gotten wrapped up on live scope over fish that just wasn't going to bite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like going up on, and it's basically the same thing. It's like bed fishing. You can see that bass on that bed and flip to it, and it ain't. I mean, you can spend an hour on a 6-pounder that will never bite. You know, it's the same thing with live scope. It's the same thing. Now, some of these guys that do it for a living, that mess with it every single day, have conquered it and seem to do a little bit better with it. But like I say, it's just, I'm tit for tat for that. I like it, but I also, as a professional side, I think they need to make some adjustments. And I mean, there's pros now that's got about $25,000 just in the front of their boat, just in the front, man, running 2 live imaging on their trolling motor and all that stuff. I mean, it's just getting carried away. And I think somebody's going to step in and like say, hey, we got to cut it back a little bit. See motors. Oh, I'm sorry. Which one is this one? You have to get your request in for some Mountain Lake State Park for the ramp 6 to 7 months in advance for the whole year is full. Yeah, I understand that too, Stephen, because I know when we were we had just a small club. Chris was a part of it, Bid Rock Bassmasters, and we were going to try to do them at State Park, and we actually did do them at State Park. We just had
we just didn't, right.
Yeah, we just didn't say nothing.
Maybe we forgot to tell them.
Yeah. Sorry, it happened.
Sorry, we didn't know about it until later on.
Most of the time we only had like 8 or 9 guys in it, so it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, if we had to do that, we'd have never got tournaments in. And Steven is the, I won't say president of the, what is it, the West, I think, Steven? The West, yeah, it's the West. Fishers of Men and for Virginia. And great series. If you guys do fish bass boat stuff, you need to check out Fishers of Men. It's a fun series. They do a dinner for you on a Friday night, and they preach a little bit of the word to you, and it's just a good. Me and James fished that a lot. We had a good time with it. But yeah, it takes time, man, to get that stuff in. Aaron Popper, just in my part of PA, I could fish local or PA Bass Nation Trail event every weekend. It's so spread out. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Claytor Lake is Aquaview. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that. I think they need to take that away. But Claytor Lake, for instance, man, you look, that lake is full of boats. That's a small lake, man. And they will have, I mean, it's to the point now they can only have so many tournaments on that lake, I think.
Well, they had that big country music station tournament there too, don't they?
Yeah.
They still do that?
Yeah. And I mean, that, the guys up there throwing Ned rigs and stuff like down to like 4-pound tests. Like that lake is the toughest lake I've ever fished in my life. Me and Alan fished a tournament up there, and we had one hell of a practice and sucked it up during the tournament. But just, because you go around, we was marking beds. We seen them all in beds and didn't realize that those fish were as skittish as they were. You had to be about 3 miles away from them, seemed like, to cast at them. Like if the lure hit the water right there, they were gone. Craziest thing. Every single one of them was like that. So, but anyways, I get carried away. I need to get away from it. But anyways, I think we're going to end it tonight. If you guys got any more concerns or questions or whatever, feel free to write us on Facebook. I mean, I want you guys' opinion. I want some good topics to bring up on the show, whether it's with a guest or just, after the guest gets off, and we can talk about it some as well. I like kind of going over these things. I'm actually thinking about coming up with a segment of like the hot topic, something that's been going on that just everybody keeps talking about for the week. You know what I mean? Trying to find some of that stuff. And seeing if we can do a segment like that. I think that would be pretty fun. Just go in here and get everybody's opinion for, looking back at trying to get these shows going, on our Sunday nights. Rich will start in 2024 off right. I got another guest lined up for next weekend. I got my son's banquet, so I'm hoping I can do it at 8. It might have to be a little later. I don't know. But anyways, if you guys haven't, make sure you go check out One Objective Outdoors. That's our new YouTube channel. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs. I'd love to hit it by March. We're at like, I don't know, 700 something. I can't remember where we're at now. love to hit that. If you don't mind sharing it, checking out our videos there. That's where all our fishing content is going to be. All our outdoor content is going to be hunting, fishing, ATV and shooting guns, all that stuff. Just our normal stuff we like to do. Heck, I don't know. We might put an iRacing video on there. I don't know.
There you go.
I mean, we've been doing
it. Do a lot of bleeping out. There might be a lot of cussing.
Yeah, they'll bleepster on there.
Yeah,
Just,
there you go.
Can't do that live.
No.
But anyways, that's where we're going to do a lot of that. And then, like I say, all of our installs, all our review stuff on like a lot of the stuff that we do for kayak and bass boats, new different kinds of products. That'll be on One Objective Bass Fishing, which sounds kind of crazy, but we had to go to outdoors to do everything. So, but also if you're listening to this podcast, if you can, make sure you go down and hit the rating button. If whatever you listen on gives you that ability, hopefully it's a good rating. And just like I say, subscribe on both the YouTube channels, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all that craziness. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a good 2024 season. If y'all don't come and join our show anymore, hope y'all have a good season. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to come and join us. And thank you, Parris Edwards, for joining us tonight. Other than that, guys, we will talk to you later. See you.